Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back into the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. It's good to be back, guys. Obviously, haven't uploaded in a while. Was waiting for us to get a little bit closer to the season. A lot has happened since last time I talked to you guys. So today, basically, what I'm going to be going over is players that I believe are the best value in drafts right now, whether that be underdog drafts, best ball, or even your everyday redraft leagues. I know a lot of y'all are mock drafting already, so I have a list here of 5 players that I believe are the best value in any format. So I'm going to start right here with the first player on my list, and that is George Pickens. Now, this is a guy who, I have 5 players on this list. I might be more sold on him than I am on anyone, and that's because of obviously the tremendous talent level, his ability to get the 50-50 ball, his ability to make big plays downfield, run after the catch. But he's not just a field stretcher, right? He's going to be catching passes at all levels of the field, considering the fact that they have no more Deontay Johnson. So there goes some of the underneath targets. George Pickens is going to have to pick some of those up. And I think this guy's going to be getting 8 or 9 targets a game, which is going to be by far and away a bigger target share than he's ever had in his career. So the volume should be higher than it's ever been. And he has absolutely no competition in this wide receiver room. I mean, who's going to take targets away from him? He's going to have a lot more double-digit target games than he's had in his entire career. This dude's about to explode. And you look at the quarterback situation, right? He's going to either have Justin Fields or Russell Wilson throwing him the ball. He's never had a quarterback even remotely that good throwing him the ball. So, we know that Russell Wilson can support wide receiver ones. We've seen it, with, I guess Tyler Lockett was more like a high-end wide receiver too, but Courtland Sutton was pretty much a low-end wide receiver 1 last year, high-end wide receiver 2, and he's never had a player as good as George Pickens. So if Russell Wilson starts, I can certainly see him supporting George Pickens as a wide receiver 1, and we saw what Justin Fields did with DJ Moore last year. So if he starts, Pickens is in a good spot as well. I think no matter who starts at quarterback, this dude's about to go off. Next player on my list is going to be Pat Mahomes. Now, this is a guy who is definitely the best quarterback value in the draft. I mean, we don't know what's going on with Rasheed Rice. Like, is he actually going to play this year? Is he going to be suspended for the entire season? It's certainly possible with all the legal trouble that he's been getting into. But we know that he's going to have Marquise Brown, and we know that he's going to have Xavier Worthy, and Travis Kelce's coming back for yet another season. This dude has plenty of passing weapons. I certainly see this offense bouncing back from a fantasy perspective. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl last year, but their offensive numbers throughout the season, especially from Pat Mahomes, really weren't that great from a fantasy perspective. I see that bouncing back massively this year with the addition of 2 extremely fast wide receivers to line up on the outside. Marquise Brown and Xavier Worthy are going to stretch the field well. They're going to give Pat Mahomes the ability to connect with them on the deep ball. They're going to open up underneath routes and even downfield routes for Travis Kelce. I love the Pat Mahomes value right now. Next player on my list is going to be Rashaad Stevenson. Now, this is a guy who, well, he had a disappointing season last year, and now they added Antonio Gibson. But he had Zeke running behind him last year. I don't really think that Antonio Gibson is going to cut into his workload all that much. I still think he's going to see a lot of targets out of the backfield, although Antonio Gibson will eat some of those, underneath dump-off passes and even potential routes downfield away from Rashaad Stevenson. Rashaad Stevenson is still going to get 80% of the work in this backfield. He's an extremely talented back. And they actually, they have some decent receivers now, so they're not really a top-heavy wide receiver room with any wide receivers that are like extremely talented or anything like that, but they do have some good pass catchers. The addition of Drake May should make the offense significantly better, giving Rashaad Stevenson better touchdown upside, and I think he's primed for a bounce back very much because he actually has some scoring opportunities this year. We know the talent's going to be there, the volume's going to be there, and he's going to be racking up PPR points for you. So I love Rashaad Stevenson to bounce back. Next player on my list is going to be Aaron Jones. Now, Aaron Jones is a guy who he's spent his whole career with the Packers, so, how's he going to function in another offense? He's a little bit older. Is he going to stay healthy? Those things are certainly question marks, but if you look at where you're taking him in the draft, you don't have to get him until like round 6 or 7. I mean, this is tremendous value, especially considering the fact that we have 2 very talented wide receivers to, open off those dump-off passes and even some routes over the middle of the field. I mean, Justin Jefferson can stretch the field. Jordan Addison can stretch the field. This is going to open up, some wide open targets for Aaron Jones out of the backfield. I think that he's going to eat from a PPR perspective. And, there's only 3 backs in the league, or actually 2 backs in the league now that have averaged over 5 yards a carry on a 1,000-plus carry sample size, and that's Nick Chubb and Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is one of the most efficient backs in the history of football. Nobody gives him credit for being one of the better backs, really, that's ever played this game, but he certainly is that. He never really got the target share or the opportunity share that he was supposed to get in Green Bay. They really never fed him like they should. If Minnesota decides to really open up their offense this year and sling it, I think he's going to be a heavy part of the passing game and catch a lot of passes out of the backfield and even potentially line up and run some routes. I love him to run the ball at an extremely efficient clip in this offense because I think the offense is going to be a lot better than people expect with two stud wide receivers, and J.J. McCarthy. Obviously, it's going to very much depend on how good J.J. McCarthy is as a rookie, but with all of these weapons, I think the offense is going to run well by default, and I think Aaron Jones is going to have some pretty good touchdown upside because of this. Next and final player on my list is going to be Nick Chubb. This dude, he's going to go off, right? Obviously he's coming back from a torn ACL. He's a little bit older, so there's some risk involved. But we've seen how good this guy is throughout his fantasy career. Right up there with Aaron Jones, he has averaged over 5 yards per carry on a 1,000-plus carry sample size. This dude is extremely efficient. He's got the combination of elusiveness and elite power. He can run you over. He can run right through people. He can run through brick walls. This dude's a monster. The only question is, how's he going to function coming back from a torn ACL? Well, there are a few good things here, right? One, players recover from ACL tears faster than they used to. We've seen players like Breece Hall last year come back and actually be elite. Not just okay, but elite coming back from a torn ACL. Sometimes it takes them till like the second half of the season to really get going. But if you look at Nick Chubb, the dude hurt himself in the second game of the season last year. So by the time we get to week one, he'll be almost an entire year removed from his ACL injury. I like him to bounce back massively. I like this offense. Okay, the addition of Jerry Jeudy is going to be huge. Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, David Njoku. They've got some really talented pass catchers in this offense. If Deshaun Watson is able to bounce back and even be a shell of what he used to be, this is going to be a very good offense. If he bounces back to being, as good as he was in his prime, this offense is really scary. Nick Chubb really doesn't have any competition for touches in the backfield. This is his backfield all alone. Like I said, he'll be pretty much completely recovered by the time the season starts. Yes, it's a torn ACL, but the dude's had almost an entire year to recover. We've seen a trend in recent years of players actually coming back off torn ACLs, like Breece Hall last year, and actually being good immediately the following season. So I think that Nick Chubb can bounce back in a massive way. He's going later in drafts because people are worried about his age and his ACL. I think he's potentially the biggest steal in the draft this year. He's my most owned player on Underdog, and this dude's going to explode. He's going to have a huge his season, in my opinion, like he's done every year in fantasy. And don't let the ACL scare you away. You've got to grab this guy in the middle rounds because he's a great value. All right, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Good to be back. I'll catch you later.